welcome and welcome back to another episode of Format Podcast. Got a really interesting show for you here today. Going to talk some NBA all-time starting five, but it's not going to be quite how you think, and some of my thoughts on that might surprise you. So can't wait to get to that, and I hope you stick around for it. But before we do, you know what it is. Go ahead. If you're here on YouTube, click that subscribe, that like, and that notification bell so you can be kept up to date whenever new episodes and new content comes out. Definitely want to make sure that you stay on top of that. If you want the audio only version of the podcast, please open your audio podcast platform, hit the search bar, type in the Format Podcast. We should come up after a little search. If you enjoy the content, make sure you give us that like or that 5-star review. All that stuff helps us to rise in the algorithm. Make sure you share the podcast with other people that might want to hear a different take on sports talk. Helps us find more sports fans, helps more sports fans find us. Now let's get right to it. So, Scottie Pippen. You hear a lot of different things about Scottie Pippen, and he's been in the news a lot, NBA-wise, over the last maybe year or so. For me, Scottie Pippen was he's an all-time great player, top 50, top 75 guy, 6-time champion, 8-time all-first team NBA defense, and he had an amazing career, a career many people would be jealous of, but for varying reasons, people see him differently. And to be fair and completely transparent, I've always thought Scottie Pippen was just a bit overrated. Why do I say he's overrated? Because he had the opportunity to win without Michael Jordan. And no matter what the ancillary thoughts are on that, or no matter what the conditions were and all of that, the fact is he didn't get it done. When he was one of the best players in the league, or arguably the best all-around player in the league in that 94-95 stretch before Michael Jordan returned, he had the opportunity to get his team to the title, couldn't get him over the hump. Now, we know now that there was some fugaziness going on in terms of the refereeing and dirty calls and stuff like that, basically cheating the Bulls. But the fact is, without Michael Jordan, let's say the Bulls even get to the finals, do they beat Hakeem and those Rockets? I doubt it. I seriously doubt it. So that was one opportunity Scottie Pippen had to win it all without Michael. Now, once Michael left and retired for the second time, left the Bulls, Scottie Pippen went on to Houston. He's playing with Charles Barkley and Hakeem Olajuwon. Now, both of those guys were older in their career at that time, but they were still outstanding players. And that was a super team that could have gotten it done. He didn't. Following that, he goes on to Portland. That team was loaded, and he still didn't get it done. Couldn't get past the Lakers. Now, those Lakers were right in the peak of their early prime, with Shaq absolutely dominating, and of course Kobe. But the fact is, they took those guys to Game 7, and the reason Scottie Pippen was there was to be that guy to teach those young players in Portland how to win and get them over the hump. Couldn't do that either. So for all those reasons, I do feel Scottie Pippen was a bit overrated. And then of course you have the nonsense that other people like to say, mainly LeBron fans, that Pippen carried Michael Jordan and Pippen is the reason Mike has 6 rings. Now, with that said, I don't believe that Michael Jordan gets 6 rings without Scottie Pippen. I definitely believe he gets at least 3, just because of how great he was and the maniacal competitor he was. Of course, there's no evidence to support that, but eventually with a player like that, they get over the hump, right? So I definitely think he gets at least 3. Not so sure he gets the 6 and the 2 3-peats, but regardless, Michael Jordan is why Scottie Pippen ended up being the player that he was. Iron sharpens iron, and Scottie Pippen himself will, without denigrating his own hard work and talent, he'll tell you that Michael Jordan, helped to elevate him to the level that he got to. So all of that is all of that. So with that said, I really do believe that Scottie Pippen is somewhat overrated, despite the fact that he's an all-time great player. So 2 things can be true, and for me, those 2 things are true. Now, we know in the last year or so, or maybe a little more, maybe last 2 years, Scottie Pippen, he had his book come out, and with that, following The Last Dance, there was a lot of controversy between him and Michael Jordan. He felt he wasn't portrayed fairly in The Last Dance. He feels like him and his teammates, his Bulls teammates' contributions were neglected in terms of propping up Michael Jordan's legacy. I don't believe that's true, but so be it. He has a right to feel that way. So, he's another guy who's taken some shots at Michael Jordan. And it's funny because there's been times he's been on TV and he said that he feels like LeBron is better than Michael Jordan. And then, of course, he backed off and adamantly said in no situation would he take LeBron over Michael Jordan, blah, blah, blah. So it's just so funny that, guys have beef with Mike, and then, they find a way to take a shot at him by saying LeBron is better, what have you. Anyway, Another quick note to that, I think a big part of the reason why Scottie Pippen likes LeBron's game is because LeBron plays a lot like Scottie played back in the day. He's not the defender Scottie was, but in terms of being the all-around player, he's a lot more like Scottie than he is like Mike. So, take that as you will. So anyway, the subject of this show was Scottie Pippen was asked to select his all-time starting five, all-time NBA starting five. But here's the caveat. He couldn't name any players from the Dream Team. Now, I'm curious to know, when they say no players from the Dream Team, does that include Dream Team 2, Dream Team 3? I thought it was a really interesting exercise. And so he did that. And the team that he put together, I thought was an interesting one that would be extremely competitive with any team you could put together from any era. Now, I'm going to add in the caveat that all these players have to be, obviously healthy, injury-free, and we'll take them at their primes, right? So Scottie Pippen tweeted, I'll go with the modern age guys. LeBron to run point, Kobe at shooting guard, Durant at small forward, Duncan at power forward, Shaq at center. I think that would be an awesome, awesome team. Very, very dangerous. Now, I think it depends on, what style you're going to play. With Duncan and Shaq, you can completely control the glass and dominate that. And you have dominant post presence defensively and offensively. Durant at small forward, you got enough to stretch the floor, and he can slash, he can create his own shot, etc. You have Kobe at shooting guard, Michael Jordan light, right? Need I say more? And of course, he's got LeBron running the point, which I don't know if I really like that. LeBron is certainly capable of it, but he's not a true point guard. And I don't know, as much as LeBron has always tried to stack the team that he's played on with elite talent, I don't think this works because LeBron has to be the system. And with guys like that, I don't think he can be the system, right? I don't know if he can effectively be a part of the system. He has to be the system. It's only now that you're seeing him at 38 years old and just, in all honesty and fairness, doesn't have the legs anymore to be the system game in, game out, that he's deferring some. So anyway, I thought that was an interesting roster that Scottie Pippen put together. And so it made me sit back and think a little bit and say, well, this is an interesting exercise. Why don't you put together your roster? And so I did that. So make my top five all-time starting five without any Dream Teamers. So just before I do that, I've actually done the top five all-time starting five for myself multiple times, and that's with the Dream Teamers. So before we do the without, I'll say Magic Johnson at point, Michael Jordan at shooting guard, Larry Bird at the small forward. I think the power forward spot is the most difficult because there have really been some incredibly dominant power forwards. But at that one, you could go Karl Malone, Charles Barkley, or Tim Duncan. But me, I think I probably go Karl Malone. You get the rebounding, you get the defense, you get the scoring, but he doesn't necessarily have to have the ball that much. And then at center, my guy Hakeem Olajuwon, and he was Dream Team too, but still, that would be my starting five, including Dream Teamers. So that's Magic at the point, Mike at the shooting guard, Bird at the small forward, Karl Malone at the power forward, and of course Hakeem Olajuwon at the center. And I think no team assembled, no starting five assembled can beat that team. You have offense, you have defense, you have perimeter defense, you have brilliant basketball minds in terms of playing the game and knowing how to play the game. You have the greatest passer in history. There is nothing missing. All right, so that's but now back to the exercise at hand, which was build my all-time starting five without any Dream Teamers. This was something I really had to give thought to, and I wanted to compile a team that worked well together with traditional positional roles. I don't really like this no position or positionless basketball thing. So I put together, and this is, more of the modern current era. And remember, all these guys are in their prime and they're all healthy. So at point guard, I put Rajon Rondo. And the reason I chose him is because he doesn't need shots at all. We know this is a guy that's led the league in assists. We know that in his prime, he was a dog on defense on the perimeter. We know he has tremendous basketball IQ. He can rebound the basketball from the guard spot. And he probably wouldn't need to on this team, but he's fully capable of doing it. And he's an outstanding distributor, right? So Rajon Rondo at the guard spot. Shooting guard, I'm in full agreement with Scottie Pippen. I'm taking Kobe, aka Michael Jordan Light, the Black Mamba. We know what Kobe is all about. We know what he can do, so that doesn't need much explanation. At small forward, I'm not taking LeBron or KD. Surprise, surprise. I'm taking a healthy Kawhi Leonard because this is a guy that is a traditional bucket getter. He can shoot it from three. He can shoot it from the mid range. He can go to the rim, and he is a lockdown defender when he's healthy. Right? Obviously, he can't defend the way he once could because of those bad knees. But I'm taking Kawhi Leonard at small forward. At power forward, I'm taking Tim Duncan, most boring superstar ever, but dominant on the low block. And he can rebound it, and he's also dominant defensively. And finally, at center, I'm taking Joel Embiid because he's going to cause problems with his incredible mid-range game. He's one of the best mid-range players in the game, and he's 7'2", 280 pounds. On the low block, he has an array of moves. You can tell he's been watching the Olajuwon tape, and he's actually said it, that when he was younger, somebody gave him a tape of Olajuwon. He'd just go and practice those moves over and over again. He's got an array of moves. So all this is, again, providing on health and in their primes. So my starting five, no dream teamers: Rajon Rondo at point guard, Kobe Bryant at shooting guard, Kawhi Leonard at small forward, Tim Duncan at power forward, Joel Embiid at center. So that's what I got. I thought it was a really fun exercise. So what I want to know from you, what do you think of Scottie's starting five with no dream teamers? What do you think of my all-time starting five with no dream teamers? And what are your all-time starting five with no dream teamers? Go ahead, leave your comments in the comment section. Can't wait to hear from you. I'll be back with the next episode, and I'm out. Peace.